my brother Reece.
Reece.
The homie Reece, you already know, man. It's Taylor Gang, I die.
Who you with?
Reece.
Yeah. Who you with?
Who you with?
Hey, I got some of my friends in the building. We go back like 4 flats, man. These guys came in a few years ago, pre-pandemic. And they talked about some great things that can help you with everyday lifestyle. And now they're back. Of course, we all want to know about health now. We've had some great voices in the healthcare industry come in. It's great to see people that a lot of us can relate to, speak the same language as us, move the same way, dress the same way. I'm going to have to borrow this Adidas jacket when we get finished. But today we have Dr. Amsu, we have Mr. Breaks in the building. And, of course, we're talking about something that they have near and dear to them. So let's go ahead and get to a Reec Show Live. What's up, fellas? How y'all feeling?
Doing good.
Reece, great to be back. Well, last time we saw you, it wasn't here. This is nice. What you got going on right now?
We're loving this.
Done came up.
A little bit. I mean, I see everybody's growing. The pandemic, it charged everybody to kind of branch out, do different things.
Absolutely.
Test different waters. I see you guys are. I see the look of it is a little bit different. Let's kind of jump right into it because we say the death of the hip hop generation.
Absolutely.
You guys kind of break that down a little bit in different ways. So let's kind of jump right into that.
All right, so we know when hip hop started, it was like the 70s/80s that hip hop came up. You know, we're of that generation, and what we have witnessed is we've seen the rise of stars, we've seen the fall of stars, but even of more concern is the death of a lot of hip hop icons, man, legends. And you know, even if somebody was not somebody in the industry, people who have came up, whether they're actors or even news readers, interviewers, writers, artists, graphic artists, whatever, we've seen so many deaths, so many illnesses, and these are things that have not been addressed within hip hop, within any kind of media outlets. There's never been any kind of spotlight been shone on. Look, we're dying. We're getting sick, and our whole paradigm is about, look, we got to make different choices in our lifestyles that's gonna not only keep us alive but give us high quality standards of living, that we can thrive. And a lot of habits that are glorified within hip hop puts us at jeopardy, and we actually embrace them. The smoking, even tattoos. There's so many things that put our health at jeopardy, but because of I don't like to use the term ignorance, because of miseducation,
facts, right?
And undereducation, and even it's like slang words. A slang word comes out, or even a dance comes out. Where did it come from? Who made smoking weed the thing, or smoking period, or getting drunk? Where did those things get their validity from? Who's responsible? Where did it come from? And we don't know. You can't pinpoint one person that made it cool or whatever, but we look at the legacy of these habits, of these of this culture, or a culture is something that a species thrives in, right? That's the true definition of a culture. What we have in hip hop is an anti-culture when it comes to what we put into our bodies as way of food, what we smoke, what we ingest, even little things like Mickey D's, right? Mickey D's McDonald's has been almost came up with hip hop. And we support it. We believe that, that's for the working man, it's for the hip hop guy or whatever, but it's actually killing us. It's not good for us. And a lot of people, they will associate themselves with brands that actually impact the black community in a devastating fashion, and we have to start turning that around.
I like how you say that you define culture, and you say that it's something that's supposed to show how people thrive. And a lot of the things are counterculture, really.
Absolutely.
Right.
A lot of the practices. Let's kind of break some of those things down. If you're not sure who you're listening to right now, this man has degrees in this. He has study. He has field work in this, and they know what they're talking about. They have helped so many people, countless people, get to a better turn in life and a better lifestyle change. And now when you're talking about people getting sick from COVID or flu or whatever, you don't want to have those pre-existing situations going on because it makes it even worse. And a big myth that we've heard is, okay, diabetes or heart failure or heart disease, these things are something that's passed down for generation. Well, it's really not. It's almost like our habits are passed down.
Absolutely.
And those habits create these detriments to our health.
Absolutely. And the culture, Reece, is learned and distributed, right? And folks, listen, thanks for having us on this platform. I really love what you're doing here. And, we strive every day to try and reach as many people as possible. Not just, it's not about making money necessarily. We have a non-profit as well. And really central to this is that ignorance, is that misinformation, is that lack of information, is that lack of awareness, it's a lack of access. Because what it is, we live in a country that not only enables people to do what they want, right? They magnify it, right? And just going back a little bit about, when people look at hip hoppers and rappers and rock stars and entertainers, and they're dying or they're sick, you know what people think normally? Man, it's their lifestyle. It's what they do. It's what they don't do. It's the smoking, it's the drinking, so on and so forth. Right. But when you actually analyze why a lot of these people are dying, yes, there are some elements of drugs and certain lifestyle things, but some of it is really systemic or endemic to the black community, for example, because hip-hop culture, let's face it, hip-hop culture is black culture. Right. The underpinnings of hip-hop culture, even now, it's getting a bit more sort of varied. Let's face it, it is black culture. It's street culture. It's ghetto culture. And I think all the things that are insalubrious to us are magnified and amplified through that culture. And there's a certain air of belligerence as well within the black community, because when you've been disenfranchised, you've been cut off from society the way we have, you kind of want to stick a middle finger up to society, right? And that's part of it. So I'm going to drink, I'm going to smoke, I'm going to say what I want to say, drive on to drive. But here's the thing, that goes through to our diet. It goes through our lifestyle. And these people are influenced. We use the word influencer now. To think we've been influenced by hip-hoppers, and we're going way back. We're talking about the 90s. It's not just the new guys that are doing syrup and sipping all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah, it didn't start there.
Let's go way back. Let's be real with this, right? They've been living the rock star lifestyle, which has sort of permeated the hip-hop culture as well. However, on top of that, we live in a society where the standard American diet lacks nutrition. Yeah. I wrote something about the SNAP, food stamps, for example, that whole program. And what it did was, from a high level, said, we're gonna give access to nutrition food, highly nutritious food, to a wide area of the public that's underserved. Right. But here's the problem: there were some stipulations in that program, which meant that you could only use them in certain places, certain value. You can only buy certain food. You couldn't buy cooked food with them. Right. So now you're buying processed food. We all heard the jokes about the block cheese, right? That is what our whole generation, when we talk about the hip-hop generation, we're not just talking about rappers. We're talking about everything that was influenced between sort of the mid to late 60s all the way through to like the mid 80s. Anyone that was born and grew up in that era, you are part of that hip-hop generation. You've been influenced by the hip-hop generation. Everything down to the diet. Not just what the rappers are doing, what the government, the legislations. McDonald's blew up in that period, right? We're talking about the fast food. Right. And that is the culture that is permeating and is what is now, leading to so many people in that age group. We're talking sort of, late 30s all the way up to like, even the early 60s. That, it's quite a broad age group. It's a whole generation, literally, that are dying or sick.
It's a deep-rooted issue. Because you have a lot of African American people in this country that don't have a necessarily connection to their roots, right? So I can go to a friend's house that's Irish and they're gonna make certain dishes. They're gonna make certain things. I can go to a friend's house that's Jamaican. They're gonna make certain dishes.
They're gonna jerk whatever you throw at them, right?
Curry, whatever, right? It's gonna be delicious, right?
Absolutely.
But we kind of are thriving on the unknown.
Yeah.
Right. We didn't have a dish that we can go back and say, okay, so we'll take what we see, and what we see may be an overprocessed situation, fast foods, foods that we don't really know, where they come from or what they're doing. And like you said, with the SNAP program, that's a whole different situation. That created a bunch of habits. That created a subculture of us creating foods because they were given to us, and then we pass those on to generations. So you guys are coming up with new habits, new cultures that will help us grow.
Yep.
So
Right, and this is the thing as well. You know, where I'm at, hip hop as an industry has thrived.
Yeah.
As in the music, you know, the fashion, all of that. You know, people have come up. Money's been made.
Yeah.
Millions, billions of dollars has been made over. Even in the last couple of years, billions of dollars have been made.
Right.
When rappers used to be struggling, inner city kids trying to struggle, you know, the birth of hip hop, trying to get hip hop mainstream or get it out there, it's happened. It's gone global. It's the best music in the world. It's the most successful music in the world.
Right.
That has remained quote unquote black, because we made rock and roll. Let's face it.
Yeah.
We made rock and roll. We made jazz, and then they took it. Right? We know who took it, right? Here we have something where we're now making money and we're in positions of power, right? But yet we always go back to like, we're disenfranchised. We don't have access. Look, you own this, right? We've come up, but we eat like niggas. And and we make king money, but we fuel ourselves with, we haven't looked at our health as in, all right, now we're in positions where we're making money, we're doing investments, we have access to information because, let's face it, internet, you know, we can Google stuff, we can Google shit, we can, we can get out there, right? And get all this information we want on anything.
Right.
But when it comes to our health, there's this taboo. There's this disconnect that it's not cool.
Cultural attitudes,
Right.
That needs to be shifted.
I like it. You want to shift the narrative.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I love when you guys come on and talk on these different platforms about this stuff. I see guys like Styles P, where he's talking about his juice bars and you need to detox the juice and stuff like that. And I love to see when people have elevated a mindset, but then they try to take it and say, "Hey guys, this is what we need to be doing now. I don't want to force it on you, but this is actually good for you."
Yeah,
right.
Live longer.
And this is the thing. We're absolutely surrounded by toxins. Everything, stuff you used to clean your house, the Lysol, the Windex. I'm naming names. I'm putting everybody out there. There are chemicals, right, that disrupt the endocrine system. That's your hormones, right? Glands and hormones that are important metabolic pathways for us to even develop muscles, develop our bones, our immune system, all of those things. They're affected by furniture polish, by raid, by, you go out and you see people in the summer, they want to go by the pools and that, they spray on off. Do you know what is in that stuff and what it does to your body? There's all kinds of chemicals. When you look at processed foods and you see that there's a whole
list of
block of
Plastics.
there's substances that you cannot even pronounce.
Yeah.
But no one's like saying, all right, look, guys, look, man, we need to cut this out. We're saying it.
Right.
There's others like us saying it.
Right.
But a lot of rappers, for instance, they think that, man, that this will hurt my reputation if I start talking this kind of talk. I'm supposed, there's this don't care attitude that makes me popular.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get cancelled. I don't want to lose followers and whatnot because I look to be weak.
And this is and this is why the cultural shift is important, right? Because I made a reference last week. We were talking on another show, and I asked, why does black culture have to be insalubrious, right? Why does it have to be excess to the point that it's negative to us, right? The Rastafarian movement, right? We joke a lot about them smoking a lot of weed, but part of their movement, they were all vegans and vegetarians, and everything was ital and straight from the tree, straight from the ground. As radical as they were, remember. The Rastas, when they came out, the Rastafarian music, reggae music back in the 70s, and when Richard Branson and those guys got hold of it, they were like, wait, this is mind-blowing. because they were the post-60s flower movement. So they were out sort of bucking the system. So, black people are doing this too. And that's when reggae blew up. But think about it, that whole culture was about eating healthy. It was about, removing plastics and toxins from the environment.
And peace of mind.
Peace of mind, right? Mental health is something that is uncool to talk about. It's slowly becoming more cool to talk about because more and more people are coming out and saying, well, I've had some issues. And remember, people think when they say mental health, they think extremes, right? You were clinically psychotic or whatever. No,
or something.
Your moods, your general moods, your hormonal balance. Dr. Amsu talks about all the time in the fact that what we eat and disrupts that hormonal balance, which creates those moods. So that's mental health, right? Okay, but again, the cultural shift. So why can't rap, hip hop, black culture as a whole, why can't we be the people that are known for, man, these guys eating healthy, man. I don't want these people in my restaurant because they're not going to buy any meat. They're going to have a little bit of liquor, but they're not going to get liquored out and dancing on the chairs and stuff. Why can't we be the culture that's known for, oh man, these people are clean. These people are clean. We have to change that narrative because we are dying. And Reece, very quickly, when we speak of these things, people take it upon themselves and say, well, you're pointing the fingers, you're blaming us, you're trying to, nigger us out sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Well, the fact of the matter is, right, there's been support for this by the government, by industry, the food industry, the medical industry, the pharmaceutical industry, and the chemical industry. Since after the Second World War, there's been an industrialization of our food. There's been industrialization of farming. There's been industrialization of medicine. Everything is profit driven. Everything is convenience driven. So not just the narrative, but the whole culture, global culture now has been, look, as quick as possible, as cheap as possible, as fast as possible, as big as possible, right? And that's the culture this hip hop generation we're talking about has been raised in. We were the first generation that was fully raised in poison. When we were fully eating food that was come from either they started sort of genetically modifying food, sort of mid to late 70s in large scale. This is when the plastics were introduced large scale. It wasn't just carrier bags now, it's in everything. It's in hair cream, it's in your food you eat. A lot of food we eat now is not actually food. It's actually chemical compounds that give you the feel and texture of food, but it's not actually food. We are the generation that was brought up on that, which is why you add some of the sort of negative things we do in terms of like what we imbibe through smoke and drinking, on top of the fact that our endocrine system's been damaged by the toxins. Now you start to see when COVID came around, and guys, COVID was the wake-up call. COVID was the wake-up call. We were not dying from COVID. You said it, Reece. We were dying from pre-existing conditions. Let's look at the word pre-existing. So whether or not COVID came along, those conditions were there. They were already there. And so this thing said, hold on a second. Yeah, well, look, hey, there's this disease come along. If you've got diabetes, high blood pressure, you're immunocompromised, you're either going to be hospitalized or you're going to die. So what we're saying is, folks, all right, COVID's there. Let's look at these pre-existing conditions and let's see what we can do to eradicate those pre-existing conditions from our culture.
And that's what you guys are doing. You're spreading the word on how to eradicate those, at least make some subtle lifestyle changes to make yourself
more than that, Reece. More than that.
I mean, we need a shake up. It's not even, like people say it's a wake up call. It's a shake up call. It's like we got to change things around. It's diabetes. How many people you can close your eyes, pick any black person in their family, there's gonna be X amount of people with diabetes. How many people, same thing with heart disease, high blood pressure, right? Because we're not addressing the problem. Things that don't work for us, and the big lie is, it's hereditary. It's in your family, that means you got a gene. No, there's not a gene. It's that we metabolize things differently to white people. So even they're catching disease and everything, but we're number one. We got the most diabetes type 2. We got the most heart disease. We got the most obesity. Obesity is a massive pandemic. Like 75% of black women in the United States are obese. That's 3 out of 4 black women. 60% of black men, right? That's 6 out of 10, right? That's 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5. 35% of black children are obese.
Under the age of 12.
And from obesity comes all these other problems. Metabolic syndrome is at the helm of all of this, and it's like we're like, look, man, we got to do something. And check this out: most rappers who make it, they start businesses, other ventures, and it's always liquor.
Oh, vodka.
It's always liquor, like and now there's like things like THC, which is the the psychotropic side of weed.
Right. So we're not talking about the medicinal side on the CBD side.
Right, CBD, and all there are
right?
different properties, like 112, 113 properties within cannabis, right? THC is the one that is psychotic, that causes a psychotic effect, which actually makes you hallucinate, makes you start to hear things, makes you paranoid, makes you schizophrenic, right? And now it's being sold, and you got people with vapes where THC oil is, the GMO, genetic modification of cannabis. It's been weaponized. But in our culture of hip hop, smoking weed is a thing where we're proud of it. We feel so proud that, I got my blunt, I got my whatever, I got my bong, I got my hookah, I can put in there what I want, and all these things. And smoking, right? Smoking in general, tobacco, all the nicotine, it causes high blood pressure. It puts a lot of strain, not just on the lungs, but on your kidneys, in your blood, and it's a major issue. And this is the thing: we have access to internet. We can actually research these things, but we prefer to bury our heads in the sand and go about things as normal. And when we catch an illness, right, we go straight to the ER.
Of course.
We got this habit of, man, I ain't feeling well. Oh, man, I got a pain. Let me go to the ER. So we panic station everything, right? Then we go ER, then we get drugged up. We get put onto medication that furthers our conditions. Whereas, no, all right, let's slow down. Let's look at what we're putting into our bodies to avoid these situations. Let's detox, because we're surrounded. Even if somebody's out there eating well, there's so many toxins and pollutants that we put in our skin, that we breathe in, and especially in the home. In your house, you can have pollution that's 70 times more potent than out on road, out in the street.
So let's name a couple of those things.
Your dishwasher liquid, right? Your clothes detergent, your air freshener, your furniture polish, your skin lotion, your makeup for women, right? Your hair oils, they're all petrochemicals, right? A lot of these substances is a chemical called a group of chemicals called phthalates, right? And phthalates are absolute documented endocrine disrupting chemicals. They mess with the reproductive system. And if you go in, black women, 90% of black women have fibroids or some other form of reproductive disorders. Black men are, black women are 10 times more likely to develop fibroids than white women, right? Because how we metabolize these substances, what we call upregulate those effects. We exacerbate, we amplify the devastating effects because of how we're built. We have genetic polymorphisms in which our estrogen receptors are more, are more respondent, more sensitive to these substances that we're putting in. So black men are 4 times more likely to develop prostate cancer than white men. And again, it's from endocrine disrupting chemicals. So, things like your Windex, right? Toothpaste with the fluoride, right? All these things affect us, and we do them day in, day out. And if you live in we switch the air on in the house and we believe that we're getting filtered clean air. No, it's just recycled
Freon.
Right, recycled Freon with all the pollutants just going around and around and around, right? And we're not even talking about bacteria or virus at this point. We're just talking about how we set our bodies up to be the perfect breeding ground for these substances, because our immune systems get impacted. So we're immunocompromised, and that's exactly what happened with COVID. That we got exposed, that you're all immunocompromised. Your immune systems ain't working right.
So, Reece, I guess in one way answering the question, I was going to say that, what are we doing about it, right? So I've got a frog in my throat. So awareness is one thing. There can be a lot of awareness because to be honest and to be fair, if you're on social media now, IG or whatever platform you're on, you do see a lot of people now, the sort of, is it Gen Z or, the millennials now, they're more health conscious, they're more discerning with, they don't like being marketed to, they're more likely to question what's in products. And so you'll see the industry is shifting more towards everything being vegan and green and plant-based because they're trying to tap into that zeitgeist, right? And unfortunately that, the generation we're talking about hasn't gotten to that yet. And they may not because, we black people, when we get to a certain age, we're like, man, I'm stuck in my ways and that's what I like. That's what I like to do, but here's the thing. We know that you're not going to change the minds of everybody overnight, even given, a year, right? There'll be incremental changes. So what we're recommending, what we know works. We've been doing this for a long time. We've helped a lot of people there, and that is detoxification. What Dr. Amsu is talking about, what this whole paradigm is about removing toxins from the body, because people don't necessarily correlate toxins to weight gain. Right. They don't necessarily correlate toxins to neurological problems, to problems with things like the bladder, the liver, your heart, lungs, dental problems. These are all things that are responsible for some of the conditions we have that all come from different chemicals that we're bombarded with, not just the food you eat. So people say, man, I eat clean. And Dr. Amsu is saying, right, you had a salad today, but then you went home and you sprayed off on you because you're worried about the bugs out there, right? You're using formaldehyde in your kitchen. These are known neurotoxins. Right. So what we can do as human beings is periodically and regularly detoxify. The first part of healing, Reece, is detoxification. Now, what allopathic medicine does is, as you know, and it's well documented, when people have ailments, those medicines tend to just mask the symptoms. Right? You've got certain things where, you've got...
let's call them medication because there's a difference between medicine and medication.
Okay, right. So kind of what you're talking about, I got a headache, I take a Tylenol, it masks the pain, but it doesn't alleviate what the root cause.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay. So our paradigm is really looking at the root cause and telling people, listen, you're 40 years old, right? So, since, you grew up from, you became a teenager, you started looking after yourself. But for the most part, for 40 years, you've probably been eating one way. You've probably been drinking one way and exercising one way. Sometimes we go for a little growth spurt. We're very athletic when we're in our late teens. But for the most part, you've been doing something one way for 40 years. And then Dr. Amsu is going to come over now and say, listen, no, all of that's wrong. Now, there are a handful of people that can, go cold turkey and switch it up, right? But for most people, it's going to take a lot of time. Because again, let's go back to that culture. We're talking about this generation. Food is a part of your culture. What you eat, when you eat, how you eat, who you eat with, the types of food you eat, of course. These are parts of your culture. So if I say to you now, Reece, look, no, stop the ham hocks and the lamb or the beef or even the collard greens with the bacon bits in it, or the fried chicken or the grilled food, which is breeds carcinogens. But sorry, you create carcinogens anytime you burn meat, right? Wait, so you're saying don't go to the cookout? You mean when I go to my mum's house, don't eat the Thanksgiving dinner?
I gotta miss the family reunion.
Listen, listen, I want to lose some weight and get clean, but man, I'm not trying to get ostracized from my family. These are all the things we're up against, which is why it has to be a sort of a broader cultural change. So about a year ago, after COVID, about a year and a half ago, we got together with our marketing team and we came up with the Great Black Detox. And the campaign then, we were trying to get 1 million black people to lose 20 million pounds of toxins in America and globally. This is a global issue. The Great Black Detox. It's not racist, it's racial. Why? Because black people are the most underserved in America. Black people are the ones who've developed, partly through the fault of their own, partly through no fault of their own, these diets and these eating habits that are making us sick and we're dying from. And so the campaign is, again, not just to bring awareness. So Electric Food is our herbal supplement company. And in Reece, as you know, we've helped a lot of people. Dr. Amsu develops herbal supplements and programs and regimens. He's written the book on fibroids, literally. Got Fibroids, a Fibroid Elimination Bible, is authored by this man here. And we've helped a lot of people. When COVID came around and people were dying from all the things we've been telling them for years that you're supposed to be, free of. The sugars you're eating, the carbs you're eating, the time you eat, the things we've been telling you, you weren't listening to us. Now CNN's got to tell you, bus drivers are falling down sick and dying, pastors are falling down sick and dying, parents, teachers are falling down sick and dying, who are outwardly looking quite fit. Right. You never knew they had high blood pressure because guess what? They've been taking high blood pressure medication for 7 years. for 7 years. It's been normalized
to the point where you to ask them, do you have any illnesses? They say no. Good. And if they forget that they have high blood pressure, they forget they have diabetes, they're on metformin or whatever, and they think it's just like eating a meal. Like let me take my tablet. I've got to take my meds with that. Right. And they forget, but they're monitoring their stuff all day, but it's become so normalized that they're thinking real illnesses, cancer, pneumonia, something that kills you quickly. That's real illness. Whereas, I got diabetes in my family. I've got high blood pressure. They don't realize that, man, you're on your way to stroke.
Yeah.
You're on your way. Yeah. And this look, man, we're living in a time right now where the younger generation, the Gen Zs, right? They're gaming. They're in front of screens all day, blue light messing up their serotonin, melatonin cycle. They're not producing melatonin, right? Because they're exposed to blue light all day. They'll stay in front of a screen all day, whether it's their phones, a tablet, or they have the whole gaming setup, right? And they'll sit there for the whole day, and they're drinking Coke. They're eating McDonald's, Burger King, Chick-fil-A, Waffle House, all these cookout, right? Black Panther died because of colorectal cancer, right? And that's from the grilling, right? We love to grill, but when now we start dealing with, all right, let's look at the issues that's making us unwell. During lockdown, they kept McDonald's open. They kept Burger King open.
Essential foods.
Essential foods. This is part of the problem for the pre-existing conditions. Now, this is how we knew the government don't give a shit about us, because they'll lock you down and say, don't leave your house. But they'll allow you to leave your house and go McDonald's, where you're going to make your diabetes worse, where you're going to make your high blood pressure worse, where you're going to make your asthma worse, right? And they close down they shut the gyms down, right? Where you could go and get exercise. They try to keep people off the streets, to keep them away from the sun, to get vitamin D. And what's going on right now, right, is vitamin D is essential, absolutely necessary to keep viruses, to keep our immune systems, because over 2,000 immune pathways, vitamin D is in the critical pathway for that. And now they're admitting that natural immunity is the best immunity, something that we've been talking about from day one. They forced people into taking a vaccine, right? Saying that this is the best way, and anybody who, it's a pandemic of the unvaxxed, and turn people against each other. Only now to come back round to what, us people who didn't trust them in the first place, who had the research, who had the information, were saying, no, natural immunity is the best. If you are immunocompromised, that's when you should be considering getting the vaccine, right? So it's to each his own. But when you're forcing people where you can't leave the country, you can't enter into a country, you can't go on vacation anywhere, you can't go into a restaurant, you can't go and live a normal life, you're being restricted, and you're gonna get fired from your job, right? Essential workers were told, look, you're the first line, you've got to take this. How many people took this thing that we don't know fully what the after effects are, what the side effects, the long-term side effects that they're discovering as
they're going,
as well. All the trials, the tests and trials that were being performed, they wanted to not release any of the information, but through the courts and freedom of information, now Pfizer and certain other these Moderna and them are releasing their testing information. They're finding out that it's not what they're saying it was. That the side effects with like pregnant women, the side effects with with younger men, with the myocarditis and the pericarditis, and how it's affecting sperm,
even fecundity,
count, right? So there's been a drop in pregnancies and in birth rate, right? And we're looking at it, and now they're releasing it after the fact. So, you know, again, we have detoxes that are for people who've been vaccinated. Like for those symptoms and conditions that the vaccine has caused, whether they want to say, well, it's extremely rare or whatever, we've put together detoxes and protocols that start to make repairs to those systems that have been damaged. Right. But we don't know the full extent because we don't know how badly affected this artificial intelligence that's been placed into people to produce antibodies against the body's will.
Yeah.
We don't know how far that's going to go, but I'm saying all of this to say all the trust that we put into government and to these farmers. And remember, pharmaceutical industry is a hated industry. Pfizer is one of the most hated, untrusted companies in the most untrusted industry. Yet during the pandemic, they doubled or tripled their position. The amount of profits they made is unprecedented. There was an absolute wealth shift or transfer out of the public, the masses during the pandemic. So you had people like Amazon, Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates, who were all for it. They doubled their wealth in the space of a year. Imagine, it took them 50 odd 60 odd years to get to their billionaire status of 30 billion, 40 billion, and then in 1 year 60, 80 billion. It's like, wait, how did they do it? Because you and I, we got poorer. We got, the middle class got destroyed. People's jobs got destroyed and health is destroyed. So imagine now we have alternative medicine and we're saying, look, you need to take these real medicines, right, that are going to equip your body with the resources, the nutrients it needs to cure itself, to heal itself. They're like, well, man, I'm kind of hard up for money right now, and health is on a back burner. I need to make some money. Whereas you hear this saying, health is wealth everywhere. Health is wealth. Everybody says it, but do they really understand what they're saying? Because no matter how much money you have, if you can't enjoy life because you got gout or you stroked out and now you're in a wheelchair, now you can't fly because you got high blood pressure, you got blood clots, thromboembolisms and all kinds of high blood pressure issues, heart disease issues. The quality of life, the length of life and the quality of life has been diminished. And we put our lives into their hands and they bullshitted us, basically.
It's almost like what you guys are supplying is the great equalizer. So you got so many things, so many habits, so many foods that we've been eating, lotions, all that type of stuff. But what you're supplying is a detox to say, okay, I'm gonna help your body to be able to function in this situation. Right. So it's almost like for lack of a better phrase, like a sunblock. I got this radiation coming down on me. I gotta deal with it because I have to go outside. But what's the best way to protect myself?
Right, and one of the other terms that's come up in the last few years is black excellence, and we see black excellence because of what clothes people are wearing, what shoes they're wearing, right? And it's like, well, you got an absolute gut under that suit that you're popping out of it, right? And real black excellence is in our physiology and in our psychology. Our mental and physical health is the true black excellence. And that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with black excellence, that I'm not going to put anything on my skin that is going to impede my ability mentally and physiologically, right? I'm not going to inhale anything that's going to impair me physiologically or psychologically, mentally. I'm not going to be in an environment, right? So we talk about toxic, toxic masculinity, toxic relation. Oh, that relationship was toxic. It's like, what about your whole house? What about what's on your plate? That's toxic. So as we're removing toxic things, that's what detoxification is actually about. And detoxification is, yes, it's about food. It's about what we put in us and what's around us. but also that that peace of mind as well.
And I think, I don't think, we know for a fact that we need to start reattributing or reapportioning value to things in our lives, right? So, we talk about the hip hop culture, and the hip hop culture is a part of it, and not just the rappers, but that generation as well. There is a culture of excess, right?
Yeah.
And so I remember, I used to do a club in Atlanta, funny enough. And we went to an establishment, it was a white fine dining establishment. They weren't making as much money, so they decided to open it up a little bit. So we'll do a rap night, or we'll do some urban night or whatever, So they brought us in, and we had all these people, and then the place was packed, and the guy couldn't believe that guys were coming in and buying bottles of Cristal, right, and opening and putting it in their back pocket, and walking around and pouring it up, right, and then the whole bottles of Patron and whatever tequila, and be honest, if you went out, like honestly, really, you might do a couple of shots, but how many ounces or glasses of Patron are you going to do and then try and journal, 2, 3 maybe, do you know what I mean? So now we've got people, young girls as well. I'm talking about, the drinking situation with young girls who are now drinking a third of a bottle of Patron themselves going out. Yeah. But what I wanted to talk about really, a sort of segue, is the culture and identity and the value we put on our health, right? What we are willing to spend on, because going back to that, you could spend between $200 and $800 on a section with you and your friends. No, this is what you're spending. So the 5 of you get a section. The section is $2,000, right? And you get 2 or 3 bottles of high liquor, a vodka, a Patron, and a brown, and some, and a hookah, maybe 2 or 3 hookahs. So in that one night, not only have you destroyed your body, you've now spent, $500 each, right? 5 bills each. A detox comes along. Listen, you need to detox that stuff from your body, because your life now and in 15, 20 years' time is going to be completely different. Because black people, well, people in general, but we're saying black people because there's this air of invincibility because of athletes and because of, people know that, the black don't crack. But guess what? It will crack if you put some toxins in there. Leave it alone, it'll be fine. But you put some toxins in there, it will crack, it will snap. Right, exactly. And they won't snap back. What is the value you put on your health? What is the value you put on your future health? Who do you want to be when you're close to retirement? Who do you want to be when you have your kids? Do you want to be the parent that can run up to the school and run around with their kids? Or do you want to be someone that's in their late 20s, early 30s, and you're already halfway to tapping out because of what you did in your 20s, right? So detoxification and our general health has to be something that we value. So when I'm spending, listen, I got a friend, we'll tease him after this. He's got, I think, a $1,300 pair of sneakers, right? That he keeps in the box and in the bag, brings them out on special occasions, and then he's got other pairs that are $400-500. So he may have, 5 stacks worth of sneakers in his closet that he may wear any given time. Not counting the tracksuits and the shirts and the blouses. So we have, Dr. Amsu talked about this, right? So you have people that have, $20,000-30,000 worth of clothing in their house, right? Live in the projects, right?
And not
eat
one
crap,
vitamin.
not one vitamin. Eat McDonald's, eat, I don't say Chick-fil-A, but I don't embarrass anyone.
And what they drive
and what
as
they
well.
drive, they drive sheds, right?
What's the whip?
Then they use chemicals in the house. They buy from dollar store, the Dollar Tree, Dollar General. So they're buying the cheapest chemicals. They're buying the chemicals that even the big box stores don't want to carry because they're that bad. They're around the borderline of being banned type stuff. So that's the cesspool in which we live in, but we don't value our health. So my thing is this: if you could spend $800 on a scarf, if you can spend $800 on a scarf, why wouldn't you spend $300 or $500 or $200, $150 on your health, on your detoxing? Let's make our culture a culture that, what, these black people, man, they spend a lot on their health. Once a month they detox, or once every 2 months they detox. They do fasting. Wait, 2 weeks without food? Who does this? But let me tell you something. Everyone that's done our 14-day liquid fast, our Great Black Detox 14-day challenge, which is something we want to challenge everyone to do. Okay. No one, not a single person has done that detox and come off and said, man, I feel terrible. They can't believe the energy they have. Dr. Amsu can talk about the science as to what happens when you give your body a rest, when you give your digestive system a rest, and you remove toxins and you remove those chemicals, and you allow your body to heal, and you allow your cells to now imbibe the nutrients you get through our supplementation. We do sublingual drops. We'll talk about that, right? Yeah. What it does for people. We have people who are on high blood pressure medication, stop the medication during the detox. They're on diabetes medication, stop the medication, we're on the detox. We had one lady, white lady, she's bedridden. She could, her and her son would go for walks. She'd just about get across the park and home again. On day 7 of our detox, she hadn't eaten for 7 days. She said she did 3 miles.
Wow.
So she came on and she waited the whole time. I don't remember Dr. Amsu. She sat in the corner. I could see a little picture on. We do weekly Zoom call, free Zoom call. We do Q&As. People can ask any questions about health, and we talk about our detox. We talk about people's health goals and how they can achieve them, and we really help them out, sort of customizing their health journeys. And she sat on the call, and we're about to head off. She goes, no, I didn't know. The guy goes, hey, my mom wants to say something. She goes, yeah, look. She's always quiet on the call. She just listens in. She says she couldn't walk across the park. Wow. She walked 3 miles. 7 days after not eating any food, just taking our supplementation. Wait, we have people who are 50 to 120, sometimes 200 pounds overweight. Not that they're 200 pounds, they're 200 pounds overweight. Right. So they need to be losing 50, 60, 70 pounds, right? And they can't do it because guess what? The food and the chemicals and the bacteria in the gut won't allow them to do it psychologically and physically. They need to detox, and when they do the detox, we've got the testimonials on our site. We have an app, we have a community app, we have over 4,000 people in our app, and where people can really share. We have accountability partners, and guess what happens? They're losing 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds. Not just in toxic fat, but there's toxins in that fat. So now they have better mental clarity, they sleep better, they have better cognition, they've ditched their medications. So this is a whole new person. So we call it the Great Reset. So what we're talking about, Reece, isn't just some, diet fad. Do a bit of keto for a while. And
lifestyle change.
Lifestyle change that changes the culture. We have had whole families, Reece, whole families that couldn't do anything together, that are now playing together. They're now doing sports together. They're now hanging out together because the culture of the change says, okay, look, we're doing this as a family. We're doing this as a group. My friends, we've got church groups that do it. They're doing it as a group. Right. And it's changed their whole outlook on life, Reece. So this thing isn't just even personal, what you can do for you and your weight loss and so on and so forth. We need to fix our culture. We need to fix our identity. We need to fix how we think about health and how we think about food. Many of the things that we've adopted, we've inherited, and we've nurtured as being our own. Come on, let's be real, man. This was the scraps, bro. The slaves were given the scraps of the food, and we've turned it into...
Nobody wanted.
Come on.
Right.
And of course, and they bred athletes, right? They bred athletes from that. And, I work with athletes, professional athletes, because they're like, you know what? I want my health to be best. I want to perform at my best. And they've come to me now as a nutritionist, right? I'm an endocrinologist, but as a nutritionist, here's what you need to put into your body. Here's the amounts that you need to put into your body. Here's the frequency that you need to be putting it into your body. So we learn growing up. We need breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Right. 3 meals, 3 square meals a day. Breakfast is the most important one. It's a lie.
That was a marketing ploy.
Right.
It's Kellogg's that was behind that.
The food agriculture. It's the food industry. Remember, look, we're dealing with Freudian offshoots. Edward Bernays, the nephew of Sigmund Freud. He's the father of marketing and public relations. Right. He knows how to spin anything. Look,
bacon and eggs.
How do we get women to smoke cigarettes, man? All right, let's call it the torch of freedom, right? So it's independence. When you smoke a cigarette, it's like a big FU to society and men and holding us back. So that's how we got. So they use that same thing, right? You need 3 meals a day. Yeah. Campbell's soup. If you look at the commercials of like the 50s and the 60s, you look at it and be like, wait, how do people fall for this stuff? Because nowadays you're falling for that okie doke. But the marketing got better and better where now it's subtle. It evolved. Right? Yeah. And now you have influencers where we don't trust the man. We don't trust the industry. We don't trust the establishment. So what's going on right now is they're paying influencers to do their job for them, culture, right? So now the pharmaceutical industry absolutely wants us to tattoo our whole bodies, and that black ink is the most carcinogenic and most corrupt out of all the inks, right? But that's what black people use. So what they do, you got a show called Black Ink, and during the commercial breaks of black ink, you get the pharmaceutical companies talking about diabetes.
Wow. So talk about that, because we have so many people that are running out, going to get tattoos, and each his own. But talk about the health detriments that have.
Right. So when you have tattoos, it's under the skin. It's subcutaneous, right? And part of that black ink, even if it's small amounts, seeps into the bloodstream. Okay. When anything gets into your bloodstream, it has direct access to your brain, has direct access to your heart, has direct access to your liver, your kidneys, your spleen, right? So it's not just about stuff that we eat. It's like, all right, what's going on our skin? But this is slow release over years. And especially, you notice somebody gets one tattoo. Yeah. Within a few months, they get another one. Right. Why they get another one? Sleeves, and then they get another. Whole body, and then before you know it,
it sounds like an addiction.
Think about it. It really
sounds like an addiction, and like you got girls and their whole face is covered. Like some people, they get the nice cute one, and it's like some tattoos, they really look good. Some of them are sexy and whatever.
The artwork isn't the problem.
The artwork is great,
Right.
It's
the effects that come from the ink.
Right. But now it's like, you know what? My boy got shot. I'm gonna put his name here. I just got a new niece. My sister just had a baby. What's the baby's name? I'm gonna put that there. All right, my mom said something profound. She told me about Proverbs 10 verses 28. And I'll get the Proverbs title, but then I'm like, man, you know what? Let me get the whole verse written out. So before you know it, you're covered. And I was watching this comedy show, Dennis Leary. He had this show, and he had this little bit during the show where he was talking about LeBron James's tattoos. He's like, what does it say? I can't see what it says. Why do black people tattoo? You can't even see what it says. And it's for real. When you go and you look at somebody's tattoo, if there's one, you can make a distinguish. Think about it. A dark-skinned person trying to get a tattoo. It's like, you can't get red, you can't get no blue, you can't get no yellow. You gotta get black. Right. And then what is that? And then they explain it. I say, all right, cool. But again, all this ink, this corrupt carbon, black carbon, is carcinogenic. And carcinogenic, aside from cancer causing, it disrupts the immune system. It disrupts the metabolic systems in the body to perform, and disrupts the hormones. So the ability for the body to utilize energy and to build good bones and strong muscles, and that it's diminished. It starts to diminish. And for every physiological illness or condition, there's a psychological counterpart.
Okay. So you're saying anything that affects you physically, it is also going to affect you mentally.
All forms of inflammation have a psychological counterpart. Okay. So somebody, man, I got this pain, and it's like something's going on where, whenever you have inflammation, there's a release of cortisol, of adrenaline. Right, so these corticosteroids, they actually make us more anxious, make us more depressed, make us more prone to psychological mental illnesses. Whether they might be, where you might have a normal day where everything's cool, you're chilled, but let somebody say the wrong thing to you. Now you can't control your anger.
And now we kind of see that. We see a lot of people going off the deep end about petty instances.
Oh my goodness!
People getting shot over traffic accidents.
Yeah.
People getting beat up in the bank just because they got the wrong change.
Yeah.
So you saying that some of this stuff is a direct effect from putting this wrong stuff into our body.
We're overloaded with toxins, and we're deficient in nutrients. So it's a two-part thing where some people start coming over to the light side and saying, man, I've got to cut all this stuff out. But it's also, all right, what am I going to replace it with? Yeah. So we always get asked the question, all right, Doc, what should we eat, man? What am I going to eat? It's like, okay, we got meal plans. We got meal plans. So we got you. We like to say, we got you. So we got meal plans.
And both of you guys look like you're in good shape, healthy through the pandemic, right? Talk to me about that. So give me a day to day. Just give me one day. You get up in the morning. What are you eating? What are some of the things you stay away from?
All right. So first things first. Getting up in the morning is a lukewarm or hot drink, water, or if you have like boiled ginger or whatever, tea, that's caffeine free, right? We do not eat until I'm sure you can probably hear my stomach going off over here because I had a warm water before I came, but we don't eat until like 4 or 5 in the afternoon.
I've been doing
once a day,
and I'm feeling a lot better.
Right.
Absolutely, yeah.
Doing that.
So Elijah Muhammad from way back said how to eat to live, put a book out. And his whole thing was, look, I am the answer for the black community. And he put out how to eat to live. 1 meal a day. Intermittent fasting, they call it nowadays, right? 1 meal a day where you fast all the way through and you eat that 1 meal and that's all it is. No snacking. Because as kids, when you're a kid, your metabolism is high, right? So you can snack, do all this stuff and your body, with good genes, your body's gonna get rid of that. You're gonna urinate out, defecate it out, and you're gonna sweat it out, whatever, right? But as we get older, we don't know how to process this stuff, so we store it as fat, right? And we're eating 3 meals a day, and then in between meals, we snack. We have the dry roasted peanuts, the cashews, the whatever, and it triggers insulin. Insulin is a toxin in itself, right? It has a job to do, but when it's in excess, it starts to weigh down other, start to have an effect on vital organs, right? And cause issues within the blood vessels. Also, right, insulin will do what it has to do to get blood get sugar out of the blood, blood sugar, to bring down blood sugar, right? Levels, glucose. So it dumps it into fat. It dumps it into fat. And a lot of people are insulin resistant due to their diets. They've become a lot of people are insulin. The moment you start to get a little pouch, that's a sign of insulin resistance. The moment women start to get, what we call auntie arms, right? Or get the love handles and cellulite and whatnot, this is insulin resistance. That even if they're, I hardly eat, I'd eat once or maybe twice a day. All right, what you're eating, the damage that you've done to your body over the years has made you insulin resistant. Now you're starting to see the visceral fat, right? And think about it. The majority of black people, right? We live in a democracy, right? And the majority of black people are obese. So what's going on now? Obesity is now an identity. It's not an illness no more. It's not a disease. It's, I'm proud. My body positive. I'm Lizzo and them. Right? And we name names. We point fingers and name names because look, if you're doing something that is a detriment to the black community, we'll call you out about it. But media, again, the cancel culture, the whole liberal lefty type of mentality of, if that they're living their best life. No, you don't live your best life when you're obese because you got inflammation. You got issues going on with your colon.
You got aches, pains,
stuff, right? You got metabolic syndrome. And the mental, remember, we always say the psychological counterpart.
Right.
So behavior starts to change, right? And I'm not saying that all obese people are mental head cases or anything like that, but they're at higher risk of mental disorders, psychological disorders, because of how their bodies are processing chemicals, what chemicals have become in excess, and how that affects behavior. So there are behavioral disorders that, like you're saying, anger issues everywhere you go. Any little altercation,
anxiety,
depression, suicide rate has shot up, and especially among millennials and Gen Z, right? Depression shot up, suicides have shot up because there's a lack of nutrients and an abundance, too much toxins.
And Doctor, I'm just jumping on again about, Reece is asking, what's our typical day? And that's a great breakdown as to why we don't eat certain things or we don't eat to a certain time of day. But just to answer maybe, what we do eat, because the number one question we get, Doc, is what can I eat? Right. And what it is, again, going back to that cultural thing, is that we've been so inbred to eat certain types of food to the point that, there's people out there that believe that the human body cannot survive without meat. Someone's convinced them somewhere that you literally have to have meat because we're born, we're carnivores. No, our teeth are actually herbivore teeth. The insides.
Everyone's waiting for you to talk about the rabbit food that we eat.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, but the thing is, we don't eat rabbit food.
Right.
We eat a hearty. We do a lot of Indian food. We do a lot of we do actually eat some Caribbean stuff. We don't do the meat, but we'll do the cabbage. We'll do. I personally try not to eat too much rice. But we do a lot of quinoa, we do a lot of jackfruit.
Cut out the starch.
Right, we do konjac. If you want to have some shrimp, you'll do konjac, which actually tastes and feels like shrimp. If you want, because one of the things is, we have a need for the certain textures in our mouth, in our fingers, because that's all part of eating. And so what a lot of people who switch to plant-based, what they struggle with is those textures, is that taste. And of course, there are some chemicals that release the meat that you don't get from plants. However, the taste part of it, it's the seasoning. Have you ever had chicken that wasn't seasoned?
Yes.
And you're probably still traumatized by that.
Right.
I don't know when that cookout was, but it's not you want, right?
When you went to your white friend's house.
Right. So it's really the seasoning. So when you discover and you start to explore a lot of plant-based food, vegan food, even vegetarian food, we say, it's a transition, right? People, they'll still use milk and things like that. And you start to realize that if you season it the way you do, you can still jerk it, you can still curry it, right? You can still saute it in all these different ways. You actually enjoy your food more, because here's something that people don't learn until they do it. A lot of the cravings we have are because of parasites and bacteria that live in our gut, right? All the way down to H. pylori, right? Which is one of the most pernicious ones, right? And those bacteria, there's a gut. We have a gut that wraps around a brain that wraps around our gut. It's attached to our brain, right? And what it does, it sends signals to make you crave sugars, carbs, meats, right? When you starve those things out of your body, guess what? You no longer crave those things. So Reece, when you change your diet, you change your lifestyle, you start to eat healthier, you stop craving the things that were no good for you in the beginning. What happens is when you talk to someone with a meat-eating brain right now, they're still thinking like a meat eater. They're thinking, wait, no way am I going to give up, the chicken biscuit or whatever else it is. But when they when they do the detox and they reset themselves, now they're thinking with the new brain. Reece, I'm telling you now, I can, we go to the Caribbean place to get the cabbage, and listen, they got the jerk chicken, they got the curried stew fish, they got the escovitch fish, they got the lamb, they got the brown.
You got the oxtail.
Brethren,
right.
Oxtails,
everything's right there.
$90 a piece now.
What are you talking about? We have no craving for it. I respect it. It looks delicious. It smells great. But my body doesn't crave it. Whereas before, listen, I could be driving by and I get that whiff of the jerk. Listen, I'm pulling up.
Point. Growing up, I grew up, I stayed with my grandparents for a while. And they, grandparents.
Come on, you're gonna eat nice, yeah.
I ate what they ate, and one of my favorite foods was bacon or pork chops. And
Come on.
I stopped eating those things. Now, if I even smell it, I get sick.
Look at
that. Right.
It's not something I want. It's not something my body craves. So what you're saying makes sense.
Absolutely.
Even now, because I know you on my Instagram sometimes. You see I got chickens, right?
Yeah.
I grow some of my own food, have eggs, right?
Yeah.
Even opening those eggs and opening an egg from the store, it's a huge difference.
Massive difference.
Right? If I taste an egg that I don't produce, or I can automatically tell that it's not right.
Absolutely.
So when I was a child, I'm gonna be 53 in a few days.
It
right?
Still look 25. I see. Detox today, y'all.
When I was a child, when we had chicken, the size of a drumstick, it was
tiny.
It was mager. It was small, like 2 bites, it was done.
Right.
Now turkey, ostrich leg,
bigger my farm right now, right? So they put a lot of steroids into it. Yeah. The food industry.
It's different.
The industrialization of food. It's like profit.
Yeah.
We need to get more of it out there, and by eating right now, due to whatever they're telling us is due to the war in Ukraine, Putin's the bullshit we're being told about stuff, right? There's a food shortage. Gas prices have gone up.
Yeah.
That gas prices going up affects everything, right? And there's a food shortage. But guess what? People who eat once a day, you think a food shortage is going to affect us?
Makes plenty of sense.
It don't affect me because I know, all right, here's what I get. But for those 3 meals a day plus snacks, and then you go and your snacks are not on the shelf, you're like,
They lose their minds.
where my snacks at?
Right.
Where the chicken at?
Yeah.
Like you were saying, oxtail is now $19. It's like, man, this is getting expensive. It's like, you know what? When you eat once a day and you're eating plant-based foods, right?
Your budget's different.
Your budget is
you've taken stress out of that part
Right.
of life as well.
Absolutely.
Plus your quality of life. Again, your cognitive abilities shoot through the roof.
Another
right?
thing as well. Sorry, Dr. Amsu, real quick. There's an important thing since we're talking about the meat, right? And a lot of people know this. Maybe they don't know that, sort of deep down. And I try not to get too technical. I let him do that, So I try and speak from a layman's standpoint, right? They use hormones to fatten up cows and chickens. And,
Right.
when baby calves are born, they stick these hormone tablets in their ears that seeps hormones daily for the life of the calf. And
To
they
get 'em
fatten
big
them up.
fast.
Now, here's the thing. It doesn't die when the cow dies, and it doesn't get cooked out. And more so, if you cook your meat rare, medium rare, or lightly cooked, or it's processed, the hormones are there. So if you notice in the last 30 or so years, people start to shape differently.
Yeah.
Black people especially, because we respond to that differently, as Dr. Amsa talking about the
It comes
polymorphisms.
down to you are what you eat.
Let me tell you this. So before the BBLs, you start seeing the young girls are filling out way earlier, rounding out. Little kids are rounding out. It's not necessarily through the effects of what they're doing at home, other than the fact that they're eating the meat that has the growth hormones in it.
Right.
You know what HGH is? A lot of the athletes, I don't call any names, pump their kids with that stuff in 8th grade because they're trying to make the football team, they're trying to make the basketball team, so they backhand it, or wherever they're getting them from, maybe they're getting it from abroad, growth hormones. So when we speak about this stuff, people say, well, you guys are making this up, it's conspiracy theory, you're talking nonsense. Wait, hold on, wait. We are actively feeding our kids this stuff every day. We have a whole industry of athletes who were raised on growth hormones. What makes you think the hormones in the chicken and the meat and the beef and all that doesn't get to you? It absolutely gets to you. Now, what level of hormones do you think they're using? You think they're going to get the high quality hormones you get for your athlete? No, they're getting bargain bucket,
Right.
trough
Right.
hormones that come in a big thing and then they tip it into this barrel, right? And that's the quality of the food we're eating, but it's changing us physically. And as Dr. Am said, it's also changing us
Psychologically,
as well.
because there's this whole thing going on with gender dysphoria, right? Gender dysphoria. You think it's just for millennia, everyone's just been sucking it up? Like, I'm confused about what gender I am.
Right.
No, it's a recent phenomena because of plastics, because of the pollutants, because of the hormones putting into meat and all that. It's affecting us psychologically. It's affecting our behavior. Yeah. So regardless of what we are biologically, how our chromosomes are built, right? Whether you're a male or a female, now there's confusion in psychology and behavior and in expression. So now we're at a fallout. We're seeing the legacy of animal agriculture and the industrialization of food and the industrialization of plastics and petrochemicals. We're seeing the fallout, and we have to get back to nature to balance this back out.
Right.
Yeah.
Because everything right now, men, especially black men, we no longer have a voice. We've been hushed to the point where the term toxic masculinity. Now a black man trying to be a black man, we got to watch what we say.
Yeah, because you catch cancer.
Cancelled.
Right.
Cancel
We're afraid of being cancelled because why? Because we rely on our followers.
Right.
The
lose your job,
virtual
your career.
family, our virtual
broader than that.
crowd is now somebody somewhere saying something, and it's like,
Well, it comes down to this: you can't argue facts anymore. Like if I say a fact and you argue with emotion, the emotion is louder than the fact.
Right.
So it kind of gets umbrellaed and caught up in the noise. But I think as a culture, we all have to just keep speaking facts because they are the facts. They are the truth. You have
but here's the thing though. So you have fact checking, right? And the fact checkers are funded by the people who are bullshitting us, right? But here's another thing, right? Is that opinions. Opinion. I have an opinion. I have a right to express my opinion. If I believe, right? So how far does it go?
Right.
Where now, say I'm a Christian and I say, I believe Jesus died for our sins. You're going to get somebody fact checking you. Well, actually,
right.
If we go through, he wasn't born on Christmas Day and in fact he didn't exist, or, you're going to get where opinion and beliefs. If I believe something, I should be able to express my beliefs, right? As long as my beliefs is not doing you harm, right? It's not encroaching on your property and it's not harming you as a person. I can say my beliefs, my opinion. We both can watch a movie and you're like, man, that's the best movie I've ever seen. I'm like, man, that was garbage, yo.
Right.
Who's right? It's subjective.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of things in daily life are subjective. Now you're getting cancelled over an opinion on something. Right. Like you're raised in a family, you're raised in a system or a culture of here's our value systems.
Yeah.
Now your value systems are being fact checked by whom? Right. Who's doing the fact checking? And now you can't even express. So opinion. As black men, we, men in general, we have a level of aggression, right? That is for our survival.
Yes.
Right? We have levels of testosterone for modern women for our development of muscle and strength and everything like that, right? And there are behavioral effects that come along with it. So there's a way in which we express ourselves. Right. That some people, and especially black people, we like to express ourselves, and to an onlooker, it looks like, man, something's about to kick off. But it's all love. We know it's all love. Right. But to somebody else, it's, man, something's about to kick off. Now there's danger. Now we have to calm ourselves down. So we know as black people, and there's something that white people don't understand. Us going into any Ivy League schools, we have to adjust our behaviors to fit in with them. When we go to a job, just on 9 to 5, we have to adjust our behaviors because white people are intimidated by how we express ourselves. So we go through that stress of how we express ourselves for hours in the day, right? So we work around white people or people of other races, right? And if you've ever worked among black people, it's just black people there. You enjoy your job, man. I don't care what industry you're in. You love that shit, right? But when you start working around other people and you have to adjust the way how you express yourself, and you have to think about, and you have to put on your work voice. Yeah. Code switch. Your work accent, right. It's stress. That causes stress. Those are triggers for, that you're not expressing as you're supposed to. Right. When something does not express as it's supposed to, it starts to atrophy. So we see behavioral atrophy.
Well, now you're talking about why it seems like a demasculation.
Right.
Because you want to have some sort of aggression or some masculinity.
Masculinity.
Right? But if somebody keeps telling you, no, you can't do that. Nope, that's wrong. No, that's wrong. Then you start to degress in that masculinity, and it starts to change the whole.
They're breeding that completely out of our culture. And what does that do to our families? I know it's maybe not so much off topic, but and this is all part and parcel of it. You may remember there was a time where, right or wrong, we had the nuclear family. Dad would go out to work and mum would help raise the home and would decide what we would eat, and would shop and cook, and they obviously do a lot more than that, but sort of higher level. So now we have a situation, and we talk about SNAP and we talk about food stamps. At that same period where they started to expand the welfare program, they started to push men, especially black men or low income men, out of the home. So now this nuclear family is now a misnomer. There is no nuclear family. It's single parent homes, usually women who are raising boys and girls in a system that excludes men. And they're being taught that because now your dad is someone that visits once a while. Right, your dad is someone that takes you to certain games here, so on and so forth. He's like an extended member of the family. He's not really
Santa Claus.
Right? Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And that permeates into all aspects of our life, down to nutrition. Right now, I know, like the mother of my children, she's amazing nutritionist and biochemist. I lucked out. Right. Not everyone gets that. Most people working 2-3 jobs. You haven't got time. Let's keep it real. You don't have the time to nurture your children, to spend time with your children. Kitchen table, dinner table. You haven't. Guess what you're doing? Here's $5. Here's $5. Here's $5. The eldest kid, right? Go and get takeaway for the kids. Put it down here. Look, this is how you use the microwave oven. That's how we're raising our kids. Right. Latch keys out the window now. The keys there, the door's open because they're just feeding them cash. Or now it's Uber Eats. Yeah. I got teenage kids. Listen, I'm in the house. I hear the garage door open and I hear the front door. Who's that? Uber Eats dropping off food and they run up to their room and lock the door. Do you know what I mean? And this is my house where everything's clean. There's no meat in my house. There's no dairy in my house. But they find a way to bring it in. That's the culture we're living in now. But what they're doing is by really, and I use the word they, forgive me, by destroying the black family, right, from the inside. They're destroying us physically and mentally. And this permeates again. And this is why when we break free, we get a little change. We get our first job. It's excess. It's excess. I hate to pick on women, but there's a more visceral thing that we see with women, with the way they dress, the hair, the nails, the chemicals, the flying out, the food, the drinking. It's men and women, of course. But this is all part and parcel of not having that unit, and it's being broken down. And it starts at the dinner table. Yeah. You remove the family from the dinner table, you remove the family.
Well, you've removed part of the family, which has removed a lot of the things that are connected to it. We
absolutely.
Go on for weeks.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. We had to bring you guys back. Man, you guys are bringing some great things to the table. Tell everybody where to find you on the website.
Absolutely.
Social media.
Reece, again, really want to thank you and your audience and your listeners and followers for having us in. It's always a great conversation with you. Hopefully we'll come out to the radio station as well. We're glad everything's going on with you. But listen, guys, there is hope. We bring a lot of doom and gloom, and it's very sort of almost violent in the way we have to be now because we're dying. It's no longer, it's just a lifestyle thing. We want some choice. No, did you not see the news? MSNBC told you, CNN told you, Sky News told you, we are dying. Yeah. Okay, there's a war on. Okay, but we have the solutions, and the solutions is detoxification. The solution is proper supplementation with supplements that sort of reintroduce and the right nutrients into our bodies. And so go to our website, greatblackdetox.com. greatblackdetox.com. There's only one. And on the website, you can, if you have a condition, you want to find out what's for your condition, there's a button, you can click on that. If you don't have a condition or you just want to know what detox is right for you based on your lifestyle, there's a little quiz you can do. It's a free quiz. And in fact, we're giving away some free gifts actually right now for people that do join and take the quiz. If you have a condition, you want to have a consultation, because we have nutrient therapists. And what we hear from a lot of people, Reece, is that they go to the doctor, they've got 5 minutes with their doctor. They spend more time with the clinician in the corner weighing themselves, right? Yeah. The doctor comes in 5 minutes, they walk out the room, come back in, here's a prescription, and they're gone. They've got 40 years of issues they want to talk to someone about, right? They don't get that opportunity. What we do is we have platforms. We do a weekly free Zoom every Thursday, 5 o'clock. And again, if you go to the website, there's a link there for that. Follow us on social media. Of course, Dr.Amsu on social media, Mr. Breaks, or the Great Black Detox on social media.
Dr.amsu.
Dr.amsu.
And MRBREAKS.
But again, Great Black Detox is the website, and on the website as well. They're just very simple. There's just a few things you can do. Reece, we're fully aware that people don't know what to do. It's not a fault of their own. They've just not been educated. You weren't taught nutrition in school. We weren't taught how to eat in school. We were taught meat and 2 veg. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so we realized that there's an educational thing to this, which is why we take the softly approach. We take a longer approach. We don't sell magic pills. Take this pill today and tomorrow you're going to be great. No. We're telling you, listen, change your lifestyle, do these things over time, periodically detox, take the supplements, and you will see. And we have the Great Black Detox app. You can download that on Android and iOS as well. We have a number of tools and platforms in place to really help people and guide people to what they need. Again, you can get a nutrient therapy consultation with one of our nutrient therapists. It might be Dr. Amsu, or it might be one of our team. We have MDs, we have doctors, we have LPNs, we have nurses, all part of our program that are guiding people to their health needs. So greatblackdetox.com, go there, click buttons, register, get on our calls, and we know for a fact we have a satisfaction guarantee. We're not running away from this. That's why we have the free calls. People can come and test us anytime they want. We don't get complaints, Reece.
We have different detoxes. We've got our signature, which is the Great Black Detox 14-day
challenge.
Challenge, which is a liquid fast, 14 days, no eating, no chewing gum, no juicing, none of that. It's just water, coconut water, and our supplements, right? We've got a Great Black Fat Detox. People who are struggling with their weight, they might have a thyroid issue going on. We have our Great Black Fat Detox. We have a Great Black Fibroid Detox, an Athlete Detox. Now, us black men and black women, we are very athletic when we're young, but something goes wrong along the way where we start to gain weight. So the Athlete Detox isn't really like a detox, it's a regimen, it's a regime. And this is how I want every black person, every black adult to be on that athlete regime, because it deals with your metabolism, it deals with your hormones, it deals with your immune system, it deals with your strength and resilience, and performance. And it's an intermittent fasting. So you're eating once a day, but what's in that one meal a day? And I have professional athletes that are on there. Roy Jones Jr. in his preparation for the Tyson fight, he was on our supplements, and there's other athletes that are out there, professional athletes in the Premier League, in the NBA, they're all on our program. So we have a massive clientele, but we want everybody to be enjoying these, regimes and protocols that are so effective. So we got, the athlete detox. We got a virus detox, which is to help your body in preparation if you do become infected or you come across any of these viruses that are being made in labs and sent out there. We have a vaccine detox, so if you have been vaccinated and you do have any kind of symptoms that you're worried about or whatever,
very quickly,
endo detox.
Detox. We keep using this word detox, right? And I think that's been coined. And when people hear the word detox, you know what they think? They think
temporary.
I got to sit on the bathroom, right? And it's temporary, right?
Right.
That's not the case with us. Detoxification is really the pure word. Our supplements don't have a laxative effect. It's not about that.
Purifying your body by adding some of the things it needs to work.
There you
go. And
removing toxins.
Right.
We're going to cut it right there, because I need our audience to digest that. Now, run on words, to digest everything that you guys were saying. Make sure that you checked out their website, their social media, some great things, and they're evening the playing field for the everyday person to be able to be healthy, stay healthy, and function the way the body is supposed to. Fellas, I appreciate you guys coming through.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you for having us, man.
Sure. We're going to get back to this mix. You guys keep it locked in right here. Reec Radio and Reece TV. We alive.